a water bottle, a soda bottle in your wheel well like this next to your tire. Most people, when they're walking into their vehicle or they're, no, it doesn't sound like a flat tire, and you realize you have this in your tire. You get out of your car, and then what happens? You get hijacked. The area that I live in, people's cars are getting hijacked from their driveways.
Did you know criminals are using an empty plastic bottle to steal cars in broad daylight? Most drivers don't even notice it until it's too late. In today's video, we'll reveal how this scam works, why it's so effective, and the simple steps you can take to protect yourself. Trust me, you'll never look at your car tires the same way again. Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Imagine you're driving down a quiet road, or maybe even through a busy city street. Everything seems fine, until you hear a strange rattling noise like something scraping or knocking from one of your tires. Naturally, your instincts kick in. You pull over to check it out because, after all, no one wants to risk damaging their car. But the moment you step out, you could already be walking into a trap. This seemingly innocent noise might be part of a well-practiced scam, and by the time you realize what's happening, your car or everything valuable inside it could be gone. This clever scheme, often referred to as the plastic bottle scam, traces its roots to South Africa, where it first gained infamy. The setup is surprisingly simple but devilishly effective. Here's how it works. A criminal places a plastic water bottle or soda bottle strategically into the space between the passenger side tire and the wheel well of your car. It's hidden just enough so you won't see it when you approach your vehicle, but the sound it makes once you start driving is impossible to miss. Plastic crunching against tire rubber, he creates a loud, unsettling noise. Exactly the kind of thing any driver would want to check out. When you pull over to investigate, you're prime for exploitation. Most drivers do the same thing in this situation. They leave their car unlocked, and many even leave the engine running if it's a quick stop. The focus is solely on finding the source of the noise, leaving the door wide open, literally for a criminal to act. Someone hiding nearby can wait for the perfect moment to either grab your belongings and run, or worse, take off with the car itself. The devious brilliance of this trick lies in how it taps into our natural habits and instincts. Think about it for a second. How often have you stopped to investigate a small noise or issue with your car? Whether it's a rattling hubcap, a low-pressure tire, or a rock stuck in the tread, drivers are conditioned to address anything unusual as soon as possible. Criminals count on that instinct, using it to lure victims out of their vehicles. And because the distraction feels urgent, your tires are critical after all. Your usual precautions, like double-checking that you lock the car or taking your keys, can slip your mind. What might sound like an elaborate urban myth has been backed by enough official reports to take seriously. News outlets like WCRZ and iHeartRadio have documented real cases and issued warnings to the public. Examples of the scam first surfaced in isolated areas but quickly spread, even crossing international borders, and the tactics are endlessly adaptable. In some regions, criminals target specific types of vehicles where the trick is easier to pull off. In others, they use variations like wedging bottles higher up in the wheel well for better concealment, or switching to quieter streets where the setup is less likely to be noticed. So what's the takeaway at this point? The plastic bottle scam doesn't require sophisticated gear or meticulous timing, and that's exactly why it works. It's opportunistic through and through, designed to catch you off guard at your most vulnerable moment. Then again, not everything is as clean-cut as it seems. That brings us to an even bigger question. With all the doubt swirling online, why are so many people convinced this is nothing more than urban legend? And how do you separate fact from fiction? Let's take a closer look. Why is it that a scam widely acknowledged by police and car safety experts still faces so much doubt? In the digital age, skepticism spreads as quickly as alarm. One glance at Reddit or similar forums, and you'll see the plastic bottle scam trashed as nothing more than clickbait. Detractors claim it's an exaggerated warning, lumped in with the many questionable viral posts we've all come to distrust. But this doubt complicates things because misinformation or even just disbelief creates the perfect breeding ground for problems like these to thrive. Here's where it gets tricky. Separating genuine safety threats from overhyped rumors is harder than ever. Social media platforms like Twitter make it all too easy for information to go viral without much scrutiny, and this can work both ways. A legitimate warning might get buried under a wave of skepticism, and unfounded claims can take off like wildfire. The plastic bottle scam floats somewhere in the middle, facing frequent dismissals online, yet popping up often enough to remain a concern. Websites like Snopes, known for verifying or debunking rumors, haven't been able to definitively disprove this scam. That uncertainty leaves people stuck, unsure whether the warnings are something they should seriously act on or just ignore. What fuels this skepticism even more is how strange the setup initially sounds. A plastic bottle crammed into the wheel well, creating just enough noise to get a driver out of their car? At first glance, it seems far too specific, almost flimsy. That's why discussions on platforms like Reddit are full of comments doubting whether anyone would genuinely fall for such a tactic. To many, it feels like one of those outrageous what-if scenarios cooked up to scare people. But anyone familiar with how car thieves operate knows this isn't far-fetched. These schemes often rely on manipulating habits and instincts, and knowing that's how they work should remove any dismissal of their likelihood. What's even more compelling is that the plastic bottle trick isn't some isolated idea plucked out of thin air. It actually fits into a pattern of car-related scams that have been reported worldwide. Look at the windshield money trap, for example. That's where criminals leave cash or a fake piece of paper under your windshield wiper. The goal is the same: a small distraction that gets you out of the car and gives someone the chance to strike. Another example is the fake antifreeze leak, where a criminal spills liquid under your vehicle in a parking lot, making it seem like there's a sudden mechanical failure. Each time, the narrative stays consistent: create confusion, break focus, and exploit the moment of vulnerability. At first, even these widely reported tricks were dismissed as over-the-top cautionary tales. So why should this particular scam receive different treatment? And if you're still a little skeptical, remember this: scams like these aren't pulled from urban legend entirely. They have real origins. According to reports highlighted by iHeartRadio, the plastic bottle trick started in South Africa before spreading. That's a detail consistent with other scams of its kind. Patterns like this reinforce its credibility as a method used by opportunistic criminals in different countries, modified over time to target various regions and situations. For example, while South Africa may have been the testing ground, areas with heavy urban sprawl or high car theft rates have seen adaptations of these tactics. It's not about whether the scam is globally common right now, it's that it's resourceful, and similar harmless sounds have been a criminal tactic for decades. Experts consistently recommend approaching these situations with caution, even if regional statistics or personal anecdotes don't match up. Warnings issued by law enforcement and auto safety specialists all echo the idea that it's better to be safe than sorry. Whether you call the bottle trick widespread or isolated doesn't change its potential harm. Missing a warning like this because it's probably a myth could leave you exposed to preventable theft. Taking an extra 30 seconds to visually inspect your car or staying in your vehicle before driving away from a noisy curb could make all the difference. A cautious approach costs nothing but might save you some serious inconvenience, or worse, a major financial loss. And even if some reports in your area seem contradictory or vague, it's vital to remember how misinformation works online. Viral posts, whether true or false, tend to distort the bigger picture. That's what makes separating fact from fiction feel like such a maze. When false claims drown out legitimate advice, there's a tendency for people to dismiss everything, not realizing they're rejecting tips that could genuinely be helpful. This confusion benefits criminals more than anyone. The bottom line? Doubt is natural, but ignoring this scam entirely isn't worth the gamble. Even if it's uncommon where you live, the risk exists, and preparing just a little can make you far harder to target. So now that we know the truth, what can you do to stay one step ahead of these criminals? Let's talk about how you can protect yourself. Even if you've never seen the plastic bottle scam in action, staying alert could be the difference between avoiding a theft and falling victim to one. Before driving, inspecting your car, especially around the tires, is a simple step that can reveal potential tampering. If you notice anything suspicious, like a bottle wedged in the wheel well, don't approach the vehicle. Move to a safe place and notify the police immediately. Experts emphasize trusting your instincts. When something feels off, it usually is. By taking these precautions, you're not just protecting yourself, but helping deter opportunistic criminals entirely. Stay aware, stay safe.